WEAC Radio, behind the mind. We want to hear from people that find the time to think and create these fine designs and then turn them into real product lines. So call us up, behind the mind. We want to hear from people that find the time to think and create these fine designs and then turn them into real product lines. So call us up now.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Behind the Mind Radio Show. I'm Karen Baker.
And I'm Anthony Leonard.
And we are live on YouTube as well. Yay! Finally. We were nervous about that a little bit too, but but we're going to jump right into a conversation we're going to have briefly with Tabby Bonet, who is part of the Arts and Humanities Festival, which is being held this weekend here in Southeast Washington, D.C. Tabby, you on the phone?
Yeah, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Back in the town.
Yeah. You been in L.A.?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you floating between two cities now, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I know people are excited to see you tomorrow.
It's Sunday.
Okay, Sunday you're there. Okay, so you're there August 18th.
I know it's all weekend, but I'm on Sunday.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. So how's the career going?
Everything's good, man. Just wrapped up my first movie out in L.A., so it's my first time acting. So you all will see that like spring of next year or summer of next year.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. Wonderful. Did you get a pretty good part?
Yeah, one of the lead roles.
Oh, wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's how you expand in this entertainment business.
Yeah, and still working on music and stuff too. Just going the major label route this go round. So
okay, so what's that change? So what's that change that's going on when you going major?
What does that change?
Yeah. So what label are you going on to?
I'm not sure yet. I'm getting everything together right now.
Okay.
So that'll be announced probably late this fall.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. Yeah. Wonderful. So what should people expect to see or hear from you on Sunday?
Oh man, just the songs that they all love from me, man. Just a good time and good songs. That's it.
Okay. Well, what made you be part of the Arts and Humanities Festival? What was your interest in
everybody knew. It's just so wild just how our city is changing. So, just to even perform right there where it used to be, St. Eve.
Absolutely.
It's just amazing in itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I got the call, I was like, wow, I didn't even know that was happening to that area.
Okay.
So that's all. And then I haven't performed in a long time. It's been a while. Like I kind of just took off a little bit. So.
Okay. So how long has it been since you performed?
Probably since maybe like last November or something.
Okay, yeah, it's been a while. Okay.
Yeah, I'm used to, being on the road and, doing shows a lot, but then I just took off for a second.
Okay. All right. So what, in coming back to DC, how do you see or what do you see has been some of the changes in the music industry of Washington, D.C.?
It hasn't been too, I've only been gone actually since November.
Okay.
And I've been back and forth still throughout, but it's just still progressing. It's just a lot more, I guess, rappers now.
Okay.
Like rap is really, people I think see that they can actually make a career out of it, make some money out of it, and live their dreams. So that's what I'm seeing, really.
Okay, so it's positive. Have the venues increased, you think, or giving people opportunities to perform here in D.C.?
Yeah, with just all the construction and everything happening and a lot of new places opening up, definitely places like, we have U-Haul now, of course the Howard Theater now, stuff like that. So, yeah, I think it's all expanded.
Okay. Well, welcome back home after a little bit of a hiatus.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. It feels good to be home.
So when do you intend to drop another album?
Man, probably not till next year. Like I said, I've been indie all of my life, and I've always turned down deals in the beginning. But this go around is just time to go, to the next level and everything. So I have no idea. Right now, I'm just focusing on a new sound, and then, like I said, I'll secure a major deal before this year is out, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Okay, wonderful. Well, all the best to you, and want to see you definitely continue to shine. I look forward to seeing you on the big screen, coming to see you there, and your acting skills.
That's one of my passions and loves too.
Okay, good. You know, it's about being multifaceted with your creativity. So we applaud that absolutely. So you can see Tabby Sunday. August the 18th from 11 to 6 o'clock is the Arts and Humanities Festival. This is continuing with DC Humanities Council, is basically trying to showcase the culture and arts and humanities of Washington, D.C., and also just supporting Southeast Washington, over in the Anacostia area. So we look forward to being out there, and we invite you all to come out there as well. You can actually go to www.ahfest.com and get all the information. Thanks again, Tabby, for talking to us.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
And so now we are going to go to break
and
come back and speak to Mr. Marquez Laura, of the Promethean community. So we'll be back.
Yeah, thanks so much, Andreas, for coming. We'll be back, and we're going to do improv skits and talk about how you can apply improv to creativity and your business. So it's going to be exciting. So we'll be back.
You're listening to We Act Radio, WPWC 1480 AM. Visit us online at weactradio.com.
Brothers and sisters! On Saturday, September 7th, 2013, Chuck D of the legendary rap group Public Enemy will receive the Hung Tao Choi Mei Leadership Institute's Paul Robeson Here I Stand Award at the historic Lincoln Theater in Washington, D.C. Chuck D will be interviewed live on stage on his remarkable career. Performing in his honor will be the Malcolm X Drummers and Dancers, Black Notes, Ratnala USA, Dragon Princess Olivia Zhang, the Hung Tao Choi Mei Lucky Lions, Russell Ferguson, the season 6 winner of the hit TV show So You Think You Can Dance, and hip-hop artist Head Rock. Program begins at 6:30 p.m. and doors open at 5:30 p.m. Tickets on sale now at all Ticketmaster outlets and Lincoln Theater box office. For more information, contact 202-232-2387. That's 202-232-2387.
Saturday, August 17th, the Family and Friends of Incarcerated People will hold their 8th annual Public Safety Community Cookout dedicated to preventing intergenerational incarceration, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at Oxen Run Park, 1st and South Capitol Street, Southeast D.C. Join the Family and Friends of Incarcerated People, FFOIP, for a day of food, fun, and enlightenment for our children who have family members that are incarcerated. There will be back-to-school giveaways for the children with great music and fun learning activities. It's the Family and Friends of Incarcerated People 8th Annual Public Safety Community Cookout, Saturday, August 17th, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at Oxen Run Park, 1st and South Capitol Street, Southeast D.C., dedicated to preventing intergenerational incarceration. For more information, please call 202-239-9439. That's 202-239-9439. Or visit ffoip.org.
If you wanted to happen, baby. If you wanted to happen.
June 27th is National HIV Testing Day.
HIV testing is fast, painless, and often free.
I've been tested for HIV.
I've been tested for HIV. Have you? To find an HIV testing center near you, Visit greaterthan.org.
We Act Radio, powered by Ethical Electric. Do something.
Back, everybody. You're listening to Behind the Mind Radio Show on We Act Radio 1480 AM, powered by Ethical Electric. I'm getting very good at that, huh, Anthony? It was a little rocky. So we have Andres, and we're so excited to have him here because, you know, the whole thing of improv, when you think of it, you only think theater and it not being used in any other form, you know. So it was really exciting to hear that this was being used as another in many disciplines. Yeah, as a business tool. So talk about your background a little bit.
Sure. So I'm originally from Caracas, Venezuela. I came to the States when I was about 11 years old and did my high school and college here.
Okay.
Went back to Venezuela where I got a graduate degree in clinical community psychology. And at that time, I began, I got exposed to something called psychodrama. And basically, that's a combination of theater and psychology to how to help.
Oh, nice.
And so that, and I had acted in high school and stuff like that. So I kind of had that passion going on there.
Right.
But it really wasn't until I came back after my grad school to DC where I really kind of discovered the potential of improv for not only like mental health and group development, but also in other disciplines as well. I became an actor in a playback theater company in Silver Spring, DC called Synergy in Action.
Oh, okay.
And playback theater is a type of improv where basically you have an audience that tells a story. You pick one person, they tell a story, and the actors improvise the story back to the audience.
Oh, wow.
And it's a really beautiful way to build community. And I was just so taken by this. I was like, you know, like this is powerful stuff. And I just began to kind of continue to explore that. And then I ran across a group called the East Side Institute in New York.
Okay.
And they basically combine the idea of performance and human development. And I was like, wow, this is, I'm home.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. And I just kind of continued to explore that. And then I created Promethean Community as my attempt to integrate my passion for mental health, theater and performance, and community building.
Right.
And then, again, by chance, I discovered design thinking. Actually, Natalie Foley, whom you had in your show last week.
Yeah, Natalie.
Yes. she introduced me to design thinking at a conference in Baltimore last year called Net Impact.
Okay.
She was doing a workshop for local NGOs, and I was like, wow, like this is something that I really think resonates with the things that I do, and it really gave me a framework for my touchy-feely skills. So it was really...
You have to have touchy-feely.
Yeah. You do.
Or people skills, soft skills, you know, however you want to call it.
Okay, cool. So, you know, fast forwarding, how long have you had the company Promethean?
We started in September 2011.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So just coming up 2 years then. Well,
just
congratulations.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. So when you talk about improv, you know, how does your company create the environment for the stakeholders to have creative ways of relating to one another? Because I know you did a session with Design Thinking DC, you know, which people raved about, you know, how well it went, because you also did it with a futurist, correct?
Yes, with Jim Burke.
Okay. So how do you do that in that environment?
So one of the things about improv, and I guess I want to start by saying, when I talk about improv, most people tend to think of something all funny, hilarious, like Whose Line Is It Anyway, Stephen Colbert, that kind of stuff.
Very true.
But the definition I like to use for improv is an spontaneous response to a challenging circumstance using local context.
Okay.
Nowhere in there does it mention anything about funny, right?
Very true.
And it's kind of thinking like, you know, like MacGyver, like just like improvising stuff all the time. Like, you know, you can build something out of the things you have around.
Right.
And basically that's the approach I take and we take when building a workshop. Is like we have these ways of relating to people. You know, these are our scripts, our performances. And when you allow people to put it on a stage, a metaphorical stage, then you can say, well, you don't have to be the real you. You can try to be somebody else. So if you're used to relating to somebody, for example, I work in mental health, and so the staff relate to patients in a particular way, right? But if you allow them to go on a stage, a metaphorical stage, if you want to say, okay, now the two of you are astronauts going to Mars. Okay. You know, that's going to force them to interact in a different way.
Absolutely.
Now, it doesn't mean they're no longer the same. They're still them, but now they're becoming a different, they're exploring new things.
So almost like putting on a different persona.
In some way. And it's playing with that. It's a very kind of creative approach to that.
Yeah, that is interesting, because also when people are not I'll just use the word, kind of stiff. That's the best thing I can say. It allows them to kind of branch out a little bit. Yeah,
yes.
loosen up.
Because they don't
go
have to be
here.
themselves.
Right, absolutely.
I'm being Karen, so how would Karen act?
Right, so you get to play a role and get a chance to see yourself outside of kind of who you think you are or who you know to be. Or
Most definitely, and that's development. You know, when you think of children as they're growing up, you know, they're developing ahead of themselves. You know, and for those people that sometimes can be a bit strict or rigid, one of the things that's most important for these kind of workshops is the warm up. One of my mentors, Adam Blattner, who's a renowned psychodramatist in the area, was at a conference this summer and said something that, doing an experiential workshop without a warm-up is akin to a surgeon doing an operation without washing their hands.
Wow.
Oh,
so
wow.
To kind of just kind of the importance of a proper warm-up for any type of experiential activity.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's an example of a warm-up? I'm putting you on the spot. But yeah.
So one that I actually just linked in a group, there's a Applied Improv Network, and I just connected to them on LinkedIn, and they were asking, hey, what's a good warm-up for about 100, 200 people?
Oh, wow.
And this one was one that I've done in small groups for 15 or so to 100 or so, and I just did it a few weeks ago, and I love it. I know it as the biggest fan. I don't know how other people call it, but essentially, you all know the game rock, paper, scissors, right?
Yes.
So basically, you get the large group to pair up in pairs of two, and you get them to play a rock, paper, scissors, a best of 3 rounds, right?
Okay.
The moment that one of the person loses, that person becomes their biggest fan. So if Karen and you were playing, and Karen won, then you would become her biggest fan.
Okay.
Now the two of you would then go and find another couple that just did the same thing, and you would go head to head with them. And then when somebody wins, all 3 of them become the biggest fan of the winner until it becomes kind of like, come bigger and bigger and bigger until it's like a final match.
Oh, yeah. That would definitely build community, though, in a room, especially 100, 200 people.
Exactly. And I heard I heard that Google uses this in all their meetings. So it's something that's is being used around for other. But that's one of the ones that I really like because it really gets people energized, coming together, and that's one of the ones I like to do.
And it's kind of nostalgia because you remember that game. You know, even as a child, you know that game, and it was a lot of fun. And it's very competitive in a way, too.
At the same time.
Yeah, at the same time.
And it teaches you can be competitive, but then you have to switch to become the biggest supporter.
Exactly. So you no longer compete with that person. Right. Because you're on the team after a while.
And actually, that goes into one of the biggest rules of improv is really supporting each other. You always want to make the other person look better. You want to recognize good ideas in the other, So it's kind of also...
So you're always developing good quality.
And as the group, as a collective.
As a group, exactly.
Oh, wow.
So can you touched on it a little bit. Can you go into the relationship of acting and mental health development with the improv that you do?
Sure. And this is where the Eastside Institute in New York has been really helpful to me in my development as a professional and personally. Basically, they train in something called social therapy, and they combine 2 renowned, it's basically Lev Vygotsky was a Russian psychologist who talked about something called zones of proximal development. And a short way to describe it is, I know you have a kid, right, Karen? So like the way your kid speak, you were treating him as a speaker before he actually could speak.
Oh, wow.
It's not like he could, like you said, like here the dictionary, read it, then talk to me.
I got it.
You were creating a performance with your child, and you were treating him as a speaker before he was a speaker. And lo and behold, he not only learned to speak, but he learned a really complex culture and grammar, and he's still doing that.
Right.
And so they combined that approach with another philosopher named Wittgenstein that talked a lot about language games. And so in that work, I've really kind of come to see life as a performance. And when you get to see life as a performance I was talking about, you're able to then try out new things, and you're able to create new approaches that perhaps you weren't comfortable with. Now, it's not as easy as like, I'm this way, I'm going to be that way. It requires, you can't, they say you want to, performing a head taller doesn't mean performing, 3 heads taller. So it's like there has to be some, you want to go ahead of yourself, but not too far ahead. And and it's a collective process. So as I was mentioning, like in mental health, when people relate to patients in the hospital as somebody who's sick, somebody that has something broken inside of them, that's going to come, that's a particular performance. And the patient begins to also feel that way and recognize themselves, there's something wrong with me, I'm broken.
Yeah.
But when you relate to them as somebody who is a human being with the complexity that we all have, right?
Okay.
But you're able to see them beyond, not just beyond somebody who's just mentally ill, beyond somebody who's a patient. You see them as a performer. You see them as a cook. You see them as an artist in the different personas or roles you were talking about, Anthony. That also develops a person into seeing themselves in new ways.
Okay.
Now,
that's great, though.
Wow.
One
I
of
never even thought about it like that
No,
before.
I know.
And
I mean, it's great because then you kind of, instead of putting on that person what you see or what you feel, you allow them to be who they are.
Exactly.
And it's a collective process.
Okay.
Now, the hard thing about this is also that we are a society. We have certain scripts, right?
Right.
You know, if I am a straight white man, I have a particular script. If you're an African American woman, you have certain scripts.
Right.
So one of the things that this particular approach of combining performance and therapy does is it challenges those scripts in a group process. And it really kind of is how do you create an environment where people can try out new scripts and new roles in this particular therapeutic environment.
Now, are people resistant to it at times? Do you see them being resistant to trying out the new roles when you put them in front of them?
Of course.
Because I could see some people being like,
somebody who's very stiff,
because
like
it's
you were
out
saying
of their
before.
comfort zone.
It's out of their comfort zone. I'm like, I don't want to be Karen.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to be me. I'm looking at you, so that's why.
No, that's most definitely true. And I guess I want to distinguish between one is like the workshops that I do are not therapy per se. They're therapy.
Okay.
I say they're therapeutic.
Got it.
They have a therapeutic component, but they're not therapy.
Right.
The ESET Institute and Social Therapy is therapy. So people go to that in a weekly basis to kind of do therapy.
Yeah.
But I do think what both of you were saying is that if somebody doesn't feel comfortable, I mean, imagine like trying to ask somebody who's right-handed to become left-handed.
Yeah.
You know, you got to have the conditions to be able to try on new performances.
Right.
And you can't do it alone. Which again goes back one of the things about improv. Improv is not about the individual; it's about the collective. It's about the group.
Okay.
It's about the we.
Okay.
So that's kind of like how I see performance development and how they interact with each other.
Wow.
Because Anthony did. You tried improv.
I did.
Really?
I tried improv with Living Social. They had like this little like coupon deal thing, and it was just amazing. It made me totally go out of my comfort zone, and that's hard to do. But because I'm like whatever. But
you are who you are.
That's true. But it's just like it made me think about what I do every day differently, because it's like you said, your life is improv. You do different things by different people's reactions, and that's improv basically.
Right.
So I loved it.
And we have a great in DC, Washington Improv Theater does a lot of training and classes. And
that's actually the improv class that I was in.
They're great at. I saw
good.
in the Fringe Festival they were excellent.
Very, very good.
Yeah. So you do have to. I think you have to, in some way, be a little ready. You know.
You have to be mentally ready.
Yeah, just kind of like I am going to come with kind of a little bit
no
of
inhibitions.
Yeah,
at all.
right, exactly.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Right, you don't. You're gonna have to be open to that.
Yes.
You know.
Exactly. Being open to the experience.
Yeah, be open to the experience. Absolutely, absolutely. So.
And again, thinking of like children, like being curious.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and kids are open to the experience. No, you know, like okay, we just gonna try this, and I think we put it on them to the point. You know, then that's when they get like, oh, I don't want to try that. You know, again, it's our perception. We put maybe the fear on them or the no, don't do that type of thing on them. When before they're just like, open, I'll try it. You know. And
which is one of the other rules of improv, saying yes and. You know, it's kind of like saying yes to the different activities and just saying, yes and go for it. You know, go this way. Sure, why not? Do this. Yes,
and
let's.
I'm going to run down the street doing it or whatever.
And building on it. Yes, exactly.
It's really interesting, though. It really is interesting. So, do you want to do the skit or what?
Yeah, let's do the skit.
Okay.
So we are going to do a skit with Andreas based on improv, right?
Yeah.
Sure. So we have been improvising this entire section, by the way.
Yes.
So this is just as a way to kind of think we're creating a spontaneous response to some of this, right?
Okay.
But this is a game I also learned at the ESET Institute, and we call it Pro Con Coach.
Okay.
All right. And essentially, what we're going to be doing is we're going to first I'm going to do this as I would in my workshops. We're going to just basically talk about just some basic rules for any games. Like all the games that we play have rules, right?
Okay.
And the reason I think these rules are important is because whenever you're dealing with emotions, you know, or humans, you know, it's kind of like dealing with fire, you know. And when you are able to kind of provide some basic rules, it's kind of providing a hearth around that fire, so you can have that kind of the warmth of the fire and not let it go wild, right?
Okay.
And these rules are very, very, very simple. These are things that we've all heard and done back in kindergarten, you know. So like, let's listen to each other. You know, it's really about listening really, really listening to what we're saying to each other, not assuming that we're hearing what they're saying, just listening.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Being supportive of each other. So again, we are going to be trying to create a collective performance where we're all looking good and supporting each other, making each other look better.
Okay. All right. Especially since we're on YouTube.
Exactly, since we're on the camera.
We're seen and not just heard.
Yes. And we're going to try also to be open to the experience.
Okay.
You know.
All right. Okay.
So
I'm open.
You see, she's like, okay, all right.
I'm open.
I'm like, whatever.
And the cool thing is, like, remember, it doesn't have to be funny.
Okay.
We don't know what's going to happen. That's the
Okay.
whole thing of improv. We don't know where it's going to lead us.
Okay.
And I can guarantee, though, like, it'll give us something to work with, because after the skit, we're going to talk about what was it like for us and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right. So the
All
game, essentially, again, I learned at the East Side Institute, and it's about, we learn how to have discussions and debates in school in a particular way. You get asked to pick a topic. They say abortion, or pick death penalty, and argue one side, and argue the other, and try to convince each other.
Okay.
Well, this is kind of a game on that, where we're going to pick a topic, and it doesn't have to be something so serious. We can, it could be, but for today's, we could pick a different topic. So I don't know, Anthony, what's one topic you want to? It can be anything.
We were talking about finishing school.
Finishing school.
And we'll be done in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Excited. Okay.
So.
Just a moment of silence.
So,
thank you.
Okay. So you're gonna be the side that's in favor of excited to finish school, and you think that's going to school is excellent. Just taking the pro side of finishing school and school. Karen, you're gonna take the opposite side.
Okay.
You're gonna you have a different opinion on that. Okay.
Okay.
And and again, this is a performance. So whether you agree on it, it's suspend that for a second. You're gonna perform that way. Both of you are.
Got it.
And what's gonna happen is then, here's the little caveat. Karen, you can only ask questions to Anthony.
Oh,
so you can't make statements.
Got it.
You're gonna perform curious about why he thinks that particular way.
Got it. Okay.
And you're gonna be responding. But the thing is, you're not trying to lose your point. You're not trying to convince each other. You're trying to create a collective performance.
Got it.
To see what would this look like doing it together. Okay. And my role, that will be of a coach.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to see if I can facilitate our performance. And I may say something, I may not. I may ask us to do things. If I ask you to do something, though, you try to then take the direction.
Okay.
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 So I'm responding to Karen's question.
Questions about school and
his pros.
Exactly.
Correct. Okay.
Which is around school.
Okay.
Okay.
And so do I start?
And so let's start.
Okay. Who starts?
Let's start with you. You can ask him a question.
Okay. So what's so good about finishing school?
I can go get a better job.
Well, with the economy and the way that things are, you think you'll get a better job?
I think so. With the skills that I have now that I didn't have before, I think I'm more powerful and equipped to get a better job than I have now.
Do you think you're ready to finish school?
I'm so ready. It's just not even funny. I'm so ready. I've been here for 2 years, and I'm ready to move on to something else.
So I'm going to, as a coach, I'm going to intervene. I'm going to ask Karen, try asking open-ended questions.
Okay.
So instead of do like yes or no, like how, what, that kind of stuff.
Got it. Got it. So how do you feel about finishing school?
I feel happy, excited, nervous, and scared all at the same time.
Me too, sorry. What is your biggest motivator of finishing school?
Knowing that I didn't know that I'm more powerful with the thought process of design thinking that I knew before, but had no words for it.
So what does it mean to have a design thinking degree? Does anyone know what that is?
Very few people know what it is, as we know now. But I think so many more people are coming into it from different backgrounds that it's becoming a common buzzword that we have to put a better definition behind.
So I'm going to intervene again, and I'm going to ask you now to continue the conversation, but this time in gibberish. So Karen, you're going to ask the questions in gibberish, actually, and then Anthony, you respond normally, as you would. So Karen will ask you questions in gibberish now, and you respond.
Explain the gibberish real quick.
Gibberish is like, let me
think about
He's
that.
trying to loosen us up.
I can say the same thing, but
so the same question you keep the line of questioning you're thinking about.
Okay.
But instead of saying it with the words you're using, try using different words than the words you're using are gibberish. You're going to make them up on the spot.
Oh, wow.
And then Anthony's going to interpret that and respond however,
Okay, let me see. I have to probably close my eyes.
That's fine. You can close your eyes. Putting you on the spot, right?
Yeah, because I'm like,
yeah, I'm so excited to finish. I think after I finish school, I'm going to take a hiatus just on like thinking for like a week and just chill.
Okay, and I think I'm gonna sound like my son with this.
Yeah, you're going to go to London and you're going to be at the Epic conference like I was last year. I'm so excited for you.
Oh my God! I know people look like, what the heck? Let's see.
One more, and then we can bring it to a close.
Okay.
Well, this time actually, I knew the performance direction. I want you to ask him a question, but now the two of you, I want you to do it in a really slow format.
Okay,
so
but I'm asking a question.
Using English. And then you're going to respond, but both of you will do it in a very slow way.
Okay. Do you think that SCAD was a good program?
Very interesting question. Yes. In the fact that I know things that I did not know before. No, in some of the delivery.
Excellent. And now let's give ourselves a round of applause.
Yeah.
Hey, good job. Great performance. Great performance, everybody.
That was interesting, though. It is.
It was.
So tell us, what was interesting about it?
I think really just kind of having to think on the spot, and it had some humor to it, too, for me, because it was like outside of my comfort zone.
I loved it.
So that is the good thing about it, because it put me outside of my comfort zone, especially I'm live on air right now. And doing so that in itself was, different, because I could be very formal. So that allowed me to be informal. Okay. So I do enjoy it. And it did. It allowed me to think quicker, than having to sit down and plan everything that you say.
What was it like for the dialogue that you were creating with each other? Did you find, like, as I was giving you new different directions, like, did you find that the conversation went a different direction, different way, how you were relating to each other?
I mean, we like communicate every day. So it's like that was normal to me.
Okay.
And the direction that we take is totally different for programming and producing reasons. So I was comfortable with it.
Okay. Yeah, I think I was too. It's more so the role that I played more than anything, because you probably would have switched us. It probably been more me on that side and him doing the thing.
And I'm like,
and
whatever.
He would have been. So you picked well, because that was
gibberish.
Different for me. It would have been familiar for him.
Because she's more methodical with her
I am.
presentation. And I'm just like, I'm here.
Like he said last week, he's organic.
Yes.
Well, and the thing about this, like, this in some ways was kind of like a pointless activity. I'm using air quotation marks, pointless, because like we didn't really have a point in this. We're just gonna try to have a conversation. I mean, there is an idea behind it, but what we discovered, the fact that we didn't know, like, this is uncomfortable for you and you had to kind of be on the spot.
Right.
Like, the thing about improv, the thing about uncertainty is that we have to allow it to we have to play with it in order to discover new things. Right. So a lot of times when you're doing improv, some things you'll discover some amazing stuff. Other times you won't, and that's okay. And it goes kind of to design thinking. You iterate.
Right. Absolutely.
So it's the whole idea of iteration.
Right. And sometimes with design thinking, you think you have what the problem is that you're trying to solve, when you realize it's not.
It's not. And somebody else might have that, and you might have to go to them and get that inspiration. So.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I loved it.
Yeah, I did too. No, I completely enjoyed it. It would be interesting to spend, an hour just kind of going back and forth, especially what you said about the warm up and moving into the activities. I think it would be really exciting. I think it would help me creatively.
This was a very good warm up.
Yeah.
Do you use this as a warm up?
So I've done it before, and not so much as a warm up. I mean, the warm up, I've done some other warm ups before, then going into this, and then usually in workshops that I've done, we would spend more time talking about the experience, and actually would switch roles. So maybe then you would become the coach, you take the pro, I would take the con.
Okay.
We could then take a different topic. If we really wanted to try it out, we could then pick something we're really kind of so maybe like, what do you think about the death penalty, and get more like something that things that polarizes, because then it's a real us. So we have a harder time being more playful. We have a harder time trying to really build something together, because we're trying to convince each other.
Okay.
So that's in a more in depth. If we had more time, and that would, like, we could create something like that. And I think at that point we could really discover. So what is it like to talk about, like, if you're, pro-death or against death penalty, and
Right.
have a conversation doing it in these silly ways, like that is, well, that's making fun of something so important. Like, well, it's a way to kind of really challenge
I
how
think so, too.
our scripts on how we tend to look at ourselves and life.
Right.
And think about it on the dime, basically, because
Yeah, and the people's perception of
Yes.
things,
Yeah.
and sometimes it alters that once you hear a different viewpoint or see it in a different way,
And when you play with it,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you
I
create
agree.
something new.
I agree. I think it'd be great for topics that are very serious
Yes.
in dialogue.
But we have to go to break.
Yeah.
So we will be back with Andreas, and we'll talk a little bit more about improv and how you can apply it to business, and then go into our 3 behind the mind questions. So, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll be back.
We'll be back. All right. We'll be back.
We'll be back. We're going to break. Thanks for listening Behind
Thank
the
you.
Rhyme Radio Show.
You're listening to We Act Radio, WPWC 1480 AM. Visit us online at weactradio.com.
What's up, everybody? This is Frank Knuckles from the legendary Roots Crew, and you're listening to right now We Act Radio. Stay tuned, stay locked.
Friends, David Schuster here, and all of us at We Act Radio are so proud of our neighbors here in Southeast D.C., especially one of our partners, The Ark. The Ark is at 1901 Mississippi Avenue Southeast. It's the home to some of Washington's best, including the Washington Ballet, the Levine School of Music, Boys and Girls Club, and the Children's Health Project. All provide a number of programs and services within the very same facility. The Ark is also home to the Ark Theater, the only theater east of the river, which hosts a variety of dance, music, and theatrical shows each year. Almost everything you could want is at the Ark, so stop by and see them. The Ark, 1901 Mississippi Avenue in Southeast. For more information, visit the Ark's website, www.thearkdc.org, or call 202-889-5901. The Ark, part of Southeast D.C.
This is Kimon Freeman, host of Speak Easy and co-founder of We Act Radio. Suicide is a very serious problem in today's challenging world, whether with our troops abroad or with everyday citizens within our own society. Before you take your life into your own hands, tie a knot at the end of your rope and call the suicide hotline toll free at 1-855-320-LIFE. That's 1-855-320-LIFE. It may just be the most important call you ever make. You talk, we listen, and together we survive.
It's like a jungle sometimes, it makes me wonder how I keep from going under. It's like a jungle sometimes, it makes me wonder how I keep from going under.
Good God! I got to ask you, what we need? Soul food. Henry Soul Food. No, we need it. Soul Food. Henry Soul Food. No, I like it. Soul Food. Henry Soul Food. No, we need it. Soul Food. Henry Soul Food.
Home of the sweet potato pie. Even the keenest taste buds will tell you the best food on the planet. Large enough to serve you and small enough to know you. So get the Henrys at 5431 Indian Head Highway, Oxon Hill, Maryland, or give us a call at 301-749-6856.
Soul Food. Henry Soul Food. What we need? Soul Food. Henry Soul Food.
I'm Philippa Hughes with the Pink Line Project and Supernova Performance Art Festival, and I listen to Behind the Mind Radio Show every week.
We Act Radio, powered by Ethical Electric. Do something.
1480 AM. We want to remind you that the Arts and Humanities Festival will be held this weekend at St. Elizabeth East. So make sure you come out. There's a lot of performances, and especially if you live in the Southeast area, it's your way of supporting the community that you live in. So we want to make sure. Nice. Yeah, it's going to be very nice. They keep doing this every month. Their way of giving back. So we want to make sure as a community that we continue to support them as well. So I want to jump into one more question with Andres.
So we were going to talk about applying business or improv to business. And how do you do that?
Yeah. So there's actually this large community of people that are using improv in different settings. So it's called Applied Improv, essentially. So and the Applied Improv Network is a group of practitioners that use improv in different settings. And there's a group of them that does it in business settings.
Okay.
So actually, I don't know if you've heard of Second City in Chicago.
No.
So Second City is this really renowned, famous improv company that produced the likes of Tina Fey, Stephen Colbert, Steve Carell. And they actually started what they call the Second City Communications, and it's like a business solution division for Second City. So that's one example. They go around and basically consult with companies on using improv in the business. So some of the basic areas where improv can help in not just business but organizations in general is listening skills, which are a must for any organization. It's great for team building, kind of bringing people together for working together. Creativity, once you start getting people out of the comfort zone, kind of like in design thinking, you start creating new creative ideas. And then it teaches you about flexibility and dealing with uncertainty. Oftentimes in business, it's all about making decisions. And they're usually these decisions, you have a plan for them, but oftentimes, things happen, life happens, and you have to improvise. You have to kind of, so when you practice these improv skills, it's kind of like building a muscle. It allows you to develop a muscle of how do I improvise? Something happened, move this way, do that, talk to this person, create that. Also, if you think about the way of looking at life as a performance, when the CEO is giving a presentation, they're, how they do that presentation, how they do that performance to their employees is going to give a different, depending on how they do it, will have a different impact. So some people will use, some of these companies to go and basically perfect or practice their performances. So there are a couple of companies that I know about that I really think are great. One is called Performers of a Lifetime. They're in New York, and they actually use some of these social therapeutic approaches in the work that they do with companies, and they work with a lot of Fortune 500 companies.
And DC has some companies that besides yourself?
Yeah, I was going to say.
So in DC, I don't know of, I know WIT, Washington Improv Theater, I think they've done some corporate gigs as well. I do some as well. And I think in the Baltimore area, there may be some OD consultants that are able to also use improv. But it's something that's, I think it's a growing field. It's something pretty new. But I think it's definitely has a lot of potential.
Absolutely. And I think that it definitely, it's needed, for, even people who are bringing in, design thinking into their business and using it as a means to, improve interact, improve customer performance, customer service, things like that. So this is definitely another tool.
And one of the things actually, and you may have been in the DTDC group, Design Thinking Group in DC, brought somebody in, I think in March, that I think his name is James Gilmore. He wrote the book, The Experience Economy, where he talked about essentially that work is theater and every business is a stage.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
so
that's a quote.
Kind of thinking about how do we work with, like seeing business as a performance where you're always trying to perform, a particular way towards the character, towards the clients.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we put out on Twitter that we were giving away 2 tickets to see Jobs. So we're going to do that really quick. And we have on the line Karoji Patrick, who is part of Zamora Publishing, and they are actually sponsoring the tickets that we're giving away.
Thank you very much.
Because, Steve Jobs is, game changer, visionary, design thinker, innovator,
everything.
all of that he was. And so we wanted to make sure that our listeners in DC, sorry everybody in Finland, Peru, I'm sorry I can't get these tickets.
Thank you.
Egypt, Ethiopia, we can't get these things. We're sorry. But we wanted to give it away. And Andres just came up with a great question. So what's the question in order to get the tickets?
So the question is, what kind of trees are planted in front of Steve Jobs' house?
It's amazing.
Okay. So you all have to, you can tweet that. Karoji on the phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you heard the question that we just threw out?
Yes, I love that question.
Yes, yes. So again, thank you for offering these tickets to our listeners, and you all have been listening since we started the show February 1.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely, we tune in every week and just give you a lot of credit on what you're doing, Karen. Keep pushing, please.
Oh yeah, absolutely, we will, absolutely. So if you have the answer to this question, then you can send us a message on Twitter at BTM Radio Show or Facebook at Behind the Mind Radio Show.
That's
and
right.
we will have these tickets here at the station for you to pick up. And the tickets are for Sunday, correct, Karoji?
Yes, Sunday at 5 p.m. at the Majestic Theater in downtown Silver Spring.
Okay, all right.
you go.
So there you are. So, don't say we have never given you anything. Courtesy, courtesy. We definitely want to make sure you have it. So, the other thing we want to do also is, quickly before we go to our questions with Andres, our famous questions. So I'm excited to hear that, is that we want to congratulate Andy Shalal, who is owner of Busboys and Poets. He is actually running for mayor of Washington,
Yes,
D.C.
he is. I saw that in the paper the other day. I was like, oh, my God.
It is a shift and a change.
It is. And that's game-changing right there. How are you, business owner, mayoral candidate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Game changer.
Absolutely. And they just put something in the window for us to say, but that is,
oh my God.
That is
really? Are you going to say that? Are you?
I am not. No, I'm not. Okay.
Let's
so
not
thanks
say that.
so much,
Thank
Karoji,
you
for being
so
on
much,
the phone and giving away the tickets. We truly appreciate
No worries.
it.
On behalf of Johnson Morris Publishing, anytime we can help, we will.
Okay,
Thank
and
you
really
very
quickly,
much.
what's the name of the book that you all have?
The name of the book that my wife authored and I illustrated is called This Milk Tastes Good. If you put that into any search engine, you'll find us at johnsonmorrispub.tripod.com.
And that book is about promoting breastfeeding amongst...
Breastfeeding, yes.
Right,
and how it's
amongst
one of
mothers.
the best foods and first foods.
Right, exactly. So, again, thank you so much. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you for having us on.
Okay. So let's
Y'all
go into our questions for
our three
Andres.
famous questions.
Yes,
if you could have lunch with anybody, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Mm-hmm. So I guess this week I'm feeling like if that was the case, I would like to have lunch with, so Fred Newman was the founder of the social therapeutic approach, along with Lois Holtzman, and Mr. Newman, Dr. Newman actually, he passed away last year.
Okay.
And it was just right after I began getting to know more about that community and working with them and training with them.
Okay.
And I've heard so much about him, and he sounds like he was a brilliant person. He was a brilliant person, but I would have loved to have the chance to interact with him and kind of just talk to him more about this. So I guess that's what I was thinking this week. Maybe next week I would want to have lunch with another person.
What's the question you think you'd ask him?
I guess I would just want to know, I would tell me more about about your journey. How did you create this? How did you co-create this with this community? What inspired you?
Okay. Cool. All right. So Fred Newman. That's Dr. Fred.
Dr. Fred Newman.
Okay, and he's creator of social.
So he, along with Lois Holtzman, developed social therapy, which has had a significant influence in the work that I do.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So as a child, what was your favorite toy?
I mentioned earlier MacGyver. The Swiss Army knife.
Wow.
I remember my uncle Nelson. Took me to a show conference in Venezuela in Caracas. It was like a knife thing. He was like the rebel, and he took me when I was like 6 or 7 or 8 or 9. I don't know.
Wow!
And he gave me the gift of a pocket knife, and I was like, wow.
At 6?
Might have been like 8 or 9.
Oh, okay.
So Mom, it was like 10 or 12.
But
okay. Say, who's tuned in?
But I know, seriously. But the thing is, I wasn't allowed to tell my mom when I got it.
I'm
but
sure.
But obviously she found out soon enough. But I just love. It's not like I just love how versatile it was and what I could use with it, and just I guess it's kind of fitting to what I do nowadays because it's a tool to improvise and create things that are nothing.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly why we asked the question
because it kind of 360 on it.
Yeah, it's a 360 on who you are. So that's very, very.
And it went along with another one of my favorite toys, just a really good stick, a wooden stick that I found once and it lasted me like a couple of years until I lost it. But so I have my pocket knife and just this walking stick.
So what do you do with the stick?
It was I was like young, so I would play, like I don't know, different things. But
okay,
it was your tool.
It was
your tool, and they transformed, and that's what you do now with business.
And it just shows your level of creativity.
Yeah.
As a child, because you just kept thinking,
like of the possibility,
right? Of your whole okay, that stick is more to me than what someone else sees it to be.
Yeah, sure.
So
Thank you.
That kind of builds on the yes and.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah, that's
very
so
true.
Wow.
Yeah. So what's the motto that you live by?
So the motto comes from a poem by Antonio Machado. It's in Spanish. Can I say it in Spanish and then English?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Because I was going to ask you to say something in Spanish. Anyways.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So the saying is "Caminante no hay camino, se hace camino al andar," which translates to "Wanderer, there is no road. The road is made by walking."
Wow. That is powerful.
And I think that has been my experience as I started my journey with Promethean Community. Okay. The best advice I got was from Kathy Salett, who is the CEO of Performance of a Lifetime, who told me, go for it and see what happens, see what emerges.
That's right.
And that's kind of what I've been telling myself when I've hit moments where I'm like, what am I doing? I have friends that are, making 6-figure salaries, kind of in the corporate ladder, or going to grad school and trying to stay on that particular path, and I'm doing something that's unconventional, that's kind of just doing by myself and with the community that I'm building, but it's there's no clear ladder for that.
It is.
And so this quote in particular has really been helpful to remind myself and ground myself, this is my path, this is what I'm creating. Let's see what happens, let's see what emerges. And last year my goal was to see what emerges. This second year I'm trying to enjoy what emerges and not so be so anxious about it.
Absolutely. That's cool, because it's not easy being in business for yourself, not at all. And then turn it around, especially like you said, when you see other people making this or doing this, and then but I think it's part of being a visionary, is that you usually end up doing the unconventional path. That's what ends up happening. So, but quickly though, because I think we didn't. What does Promethean mean?
So Promethean Community comes from Prometheus, who was a Greek titan, and he is mostly known for stealing the fire from the gods. He was kind of a figure in the mythology where that he taught the humans how to basically trick, how to burn the worst part of the cattle, in the sacrifices, to trick the gods thinking it was the best part. And when the gods found out, they got ticked off at the humans and stole the fire. So then Prometheus went back and helped the humans steal the fire from the gods. He stole the fire from the gods.
I think, okay, sorry.
Okay,
I just heard something in my
Yeah, me too.
Me
too.
I was like, what in the world?
Okay, sorry.
So improvising, going on with that, right? Yes.
Right, go ahead.
That was Prometheus in our headphones.
It felt like fire.
Yes. But the reason I chose that name, and it kind of came out of a process of work talking with people, it was because I really think wherever there's a community of people that have gone into conflict or there's tension, which happens anywhere they're humans, because that's, I the metaphor I see is that's where their fire has been stolen. The gods, the ideals, the ideals of how we should be has stolen their fire. These gods, and I want to empower communities to reconnect with their own Prometheus, to steal back that fire and reconnect with that passion and creativity.
That's great.
That is wonderful.
So that's how,
that is really great.
I never would have put a spin on it like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool.
That's why I said, I don't know if we really explained what it means. I mean, and that's definitely a great story.
It is.
To tell as well, because I think a lot of communities that their fire has been.
And that goes back even to the business world too.
Anymore.
Yeah.
It needs to be a spark to even create the fire in some communities, even in cultures.
And that's when I work with communities. Communities is it's a broad category. So it means working with neighborhoods, with nonprofits, with businesses, anywhere there are humans working together. That's I see as a community that has the potential to lose that fire and has the same potential to rekindle it and steal it back.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. So give everybody your contact information.
So people can go to my website. It's www.prometheancommunity.com. I'll spell it out, I guess. PROMOTHEAN.com. You can also go to the Behind the Mind, probably Twitter or Facebook, and they have my links there as well.
Yes.
And feel free to go to that webpage and see some of the work we've been doing locally in the area. We've been working with local communities, trying to do some work on stigma, mental illness, as well as leadership development and other stuff like that.
And we have some things coming up in April. Andres doesn't even know we put him down for, so you'll see him
Yeah,
again.
cool.
So
You'll
we'll
see
talk
him
to
again.
as soon as
Yes,
we get
and.
off air.
Yes, let's.
That's right.
Get off the air. We'll tell him about it, but
We'll
you'll see
tell
him
him about
again.
it, but you'll see him again. So this has been a wonderful
Thank
show.
you so
Absolutely.
much. Thank
I mean,
you.
we were
Very
excited to have it.
interactive.
Absolutely, and that's what we want to keep bringing to the show.
Yes,
you
we
know?
will.
So
We will.
Thanks so much
Thank
for
you so
tuning
much.
in to Behind the Mind Radio Show, and I'm Karen Baker.
I'm Anthony Leonard.
And you're listening to us on We Act Radio, 1480 AM.
Powered by Ethical Electric.
There you go. There you go. So we will see you all. Absolutely, we can see.
Yeah, we can actually see you.
And we will hear.
That's right.
Next week. Have a good weekend,
Thank
everyone.
you so much.
Thank you.
We Act Radio, Behind the Mind. We want to hear from people that find the time to think and create these fine designs and then turn them into real product lines. So call us up, Behind the Mind. We want to hear from people that find the time to think and create these fine designs and then turn them into real product lines. So call us up now.
Where else will you get the most current information on game changers?
Design thinkers and well-known innovators.
In-depth interviews from visionaries, trendsetters, from science to food to entertainment.
On the Behind the Mind radio show.
We Act Radio, 1480 AM, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. every Friday. Join me, your host, Karen Baker.
And me, Anthony Leonard.
We'll talk about design, innovation, and culture.
Think different about design. Behind the Mind radio show.
You're listening to We Act Radio, WPWC 1480 AM. Now get out there and do something.